You're
Playing in the drop box. Oh, please. Probably a few weeks if those kids, it was probably a few pieces.
Yeah, but it's not working from behind, it's only working from the front.
I would say not.
Oh, the one
Was like 100 or whatever.
Yeah, that one. That was $100.
Well, I think it was $99.99. But the other one was like 50. I think the other one was like 50.
That one just was horrible. So he's doing for a lot price there.
Let me drag my feet for a second.
Yeah. It is what it is.
Yeah.
So. Mr. Mayor, does it seem like she is upset about it? I don't care. I'm just comparing.
All right, 10, 9, 8, 3. Good evening and welcome to the Defiance City Council meeting for tonight, September 2nd, 2025. Before we get underway, would you bow your heads in prayer with me? Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you that we can come together, that we can talk about the city that you have put in our hands to look over and steward. Lord, we thank you for your kindness. We thank you for the bounty that you give us. We thank you for your patience with us, even when we stumble and when we fall. Lord, please give us wisdom this evening. Wisdom so that we can make decisions that benefit the people of Defiance. Please give us patience and understanding that we can learn and be directed to do what's wise and what's responsible. And Lord, give us hearts to encourage and lift each other up. Lord, if left to ourselves, we would probably bumble and not do wise things. So we do turn to you. We ask for your kindness and endurance. We ask for your insight, and we ask this because you love us and you love the community. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. This meeting is now called to order. Let the records show that all the members of council are present. Would you stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is a good evening. We have two great special guests. Our first guest this evening is Fire Chief Whitcobb, who is here to come and talk to us. We were chatting a bit earlier, and I find it really interesting and important, the work you guys do.
Appreciate that, sir. Just like to say thank you to Board of Control and Council for allowing us to come in for a few minutes of your time. I wanted to express basically an excellent job done by your Defiance firefighters. We recently had a structure fire back in June of 23rd, and the work that the firemen did there, I believe, prevented a full-on structure fire and potentially, injuries to people in our community, and obviously loss of life and property. So well done to them, but I'd like to let Captain Brandon Case speak a little bit more as to the specifics of how we got to that today.
Point it at my computer,
Thanks,
okay?
Chief. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Captain Brandon Case, Fire Department. I'm gonna pass around this.
Just take one.
Yeah, pass them around. I don't think I got enough for everybody in the crowd, but I should give it a try. So as Chief Whitcock explained, after the incident we had in June, Brian Mack asked myself and the chief to come up with a presentation to bring to you guys so we can kind of shine a better light to the general public on the dangers of some of these issues we have with lithium-ion batteries and talk a little bit about the risks that inherently are there and what everybody can do to keep themselves safe.
Point it at the computer. Maybe.
Isn't technology great when it works?
Is it working?
It's not working.
Of course it's not.
Hmm.
I just did it and. Oh, yeah, it did.
There we go.
Okay, so the main focus of the main focus of this is talking about lithium-ion batteries. Lithium-ion batteries are in a large majority of any electronic device you have, anything that's rechargeable. One of the reasons that they're so common is lithium is one of the most common elements on this planet. It's very easily refined, very easily used, and the recharge capability of those batteries lasts a long time, hence the reason why they're so common. They're in your phones, your laptops, electronic bikes. The big ones are in your electronic cars, your Teslas, your Chevy Volts, those kind of things. And the majority of the time, there's no issue with those batteries whatsoever, as long as you know what to look for and as long as they are maintained correctly.
Try leaning in through.
I see. There we go. Oops. I'm going back. There we go. So like I said, they're lightweight, long lasting, they recharge a lot of times, and they make everything that you have portable. You charge it up, take it with you. So what causes these batteries to catch fire is normally it's overheating. A lot of times what we saw in the fire we had in June was that the battery that was in this device was a very cheaply made device from China. And the majority of those have been recalled over the last 10 years. This one, the owner of it just did not either see the recall or they just didn't know about it, and they kept it. So another thing that can happen is you can get physical damage to these batteries. Something hits them, if they fall on something, if they're in direct sunlight and like a greenhouse effect for a long time, it can cause the battery to swell. Or if you overcharge it, meaning if you have an unapproved charger that you bought from wherever and it has too many milliamps charging that battery, then when that battery is designed to get, then it can eventually overheat and cause a fire. So, oops, like I said. So signs of trouble you can see if you guys have these in your home. If they're starting to swell up or bulge, or if that battery, say you take it out of a device you have and you have to put it in a portable charger, you don't see those very much anymore. When digital cameras were really prevalent, you had to take those batteries out, put them on a separate charger. If you see them swelling up, if you obviously hear hissing or popping, or if the battery is hot to the touch after you're charging it. If you guys notice any of those things, that's obviously a sign. Unplug it, get it out of your house. Do not throw it in the trash. There's proper ways to dispose of them. So, the incident that Chief Wickoff was referring to happened on June 23rd on Hopkins Street. It's a house directly behind our old Eastside Fire Station. So the homeowner, they had been out for most of the day. They came home and noticed haze of smoke in their upstairs on the second floor, and a burning electrical smell. She evacuated her two small children out of the house. We got there, went in and tried to investigate, find out the cause of where the smoke was coming from. Initially, we could not find anything, and I did find that there was some wiring in the house that seemed to be possibly the suspect, but luckily, one of the firefighters on my shift, firefighter Jake Schlegel, was using our thermal imaging camera, and he happened to see that the sofa was way warmer than it should have been. We moved the sofa out of the way and found a hoverboard plugged in, charging underneath the sofa, and it had burnt through the carpet, burnt through part of the floorboard, and charged some of the sofa. So you can see here, we took it outside, took it apart, and you can see on those pictures, the charring around the battery and the cable going to the battery charger there on the bottom of the hoverboard. Spoke to the young gentleman whose hoverboard it was, and he said it hasn't worked in months, but he just kept it plugged in because he thought maybe it was because the battery was dead. So he had it charging for a long, long time, and luckily they came home at the right time. Mom did absolutely the right thing, got out of the house, called us. We came and found it before it turned into a really, really bad disaster for them. Any questions on that fire?
I just quickly, Captain Casey, great presentation so far, and a round of applause to you guys. But, so I know right now, I know at home, in my laundry room, in a cabinet, there's a old remote control car that I'm sure hasn't been used in 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
I'm assuming there's some sentimental attachment with my wife in this car, otherwise it wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
I'm glad she's not watching.
I'm gonna tell her that.
What should I do with, what should I do with that car?
So with that car, Whirlers has special bins at their facility on the north side of town, and they will take those batteries for you, and they dispose of, and they actually send them to a third-party company that will dispose of them properly.
Okay.
Like I said, any of their business hours, they're open. And you'll see on the next slide, one of the reasons why I said I do not want to use stuff in the trash. But yeah, great question.
Just doing all kinds of things.
You can just do it for me right there, hit next.
Okay.
Maybe.
Don't touch the remote.
I'm not touching it.
We're gonna argue back and forth.
Don't mess with her.
So another incident, it was a couple of years ago, but I happened to be the incident commander on that one as well, so it jogged my memory when we were going through this one, so I'm gonna bring this one up too, and this one has a few other things. So on July 2nd, 2021, a Whirler truck driver called us because his trash truck was on fire on Woodridge Drive. So we get over there and have to open up the top of the trash compactor on top of the truck. Had to put a decent amount of water inside that to pretty much soak the entire contents of that, everything that he had already picked up. And it was still smoldering quite a bit. So our next best option was we followed him out to the landfill and drove all the way up to the top of the landfill as he dumped out the trash. And we were able to look with a thermal imager and find, as that stuff's coming out, where the actual smoldering culprit was. And it was some old cell phone batteries that he had lying in a cabinet. And he wanted to get rid of them, so he threw them in his Mighty Tidy. And they sat in that Mighty Tidy for, who knows, a couple days. They dumped into the trash compactor. When it compacted down, the batteries obviously were damaged enough that they reacted and caught fire, and obviously caught the rest of the trash inside the trash truck on fire. So really good effort on his part, the Whirler driver, because if he wasn't paying attention or looking, he could have drove and kept putting more stuff in there. And then that truck, and I think the majority of their fleet now are all propane trucks, and there's been some pretty significant incidences in the past few years where if something happens and those trucks actually catch fire, they are essentially a bomb on wheels. And when that liquid propane goes, it's a large, large explosion. So luckily we avoided that, and we were able to find it fairly quickly and get it taken care of. So again, all the more reason not to just throw your old batteries in the truck. I didn't touch it.
I know, I did.
All right, so thank you, Lisa.
Yeah.
So the fire spreads really quickly with these because it's such a reactive fire and it gets very, very hot. They're very hard to extinguish. On some of them, depending how big the battery is, if we put direct water on it, it can have a reaction to it. But unfortunately, that's the most readily available thing we have to put these fires out. So it essentially just means we have to put copious amounts of water on if there's a large battery that's on fire. For example, on an electric car, the best way for us to put out batteries that are on fire on an electric car is to completely submerge that entire car in water. or spray water on it for 12, 15, 20 hours. So the next best thing is we call our friends at the street department and they come out with a backhoe and they dig a hole on the side of the road and we push the car into it and fill it up. We have a couple new devices that Chief Whitcup was able to secure with us. We now have an electric fire bucket that we can, it's essentially a backpack-sized blanket that we can put over an entire car, and it smothers it until we find our next best course of action to get rid of that vehicle. We have a couple piercing nozzles on a couple of our apparatus that we can actually pierce underneath the car into that battery cells and flood that area with water too. So we have a couple options when it comes to electrical vehicle fires, but luckily, even as more prevalent as these electrical vehicles are getting, those fires are very few and far between. Those batteries are much, much safer, like I said, than these older lithium-ion batteries that were in some of these old devices. Next one. So, in short, they are safe if they're handled properly. Make sure you look out for the warning signs on them. And like I said, do not use the wrong size charger on these devices. That's the majority where you're seeing the issue with people using these batteries and they lose the charger for it. Make sure you can at least do a little bit of research and find the right charger that has the right milliamps for it. That's going to be your best course of action if it's something you want to continue to use and continue to charge. And keep a lookout for those warning signs. Any questions on any of that? I kept it kind of short and to the point.
We have questions for Captain Case? Mr. Hancock?
Does temperature affect it at all?
Yeah.
That you know of?
Yeah,
I mean, as
so
far as the
very-
temperature around the battery.
Oh, around the battery? Not necessarily. Like most of them say to store them at room temperature, right? But a very good example of that is your smartphone. If your smartphone's in direct sunlight for a long time,
It'll shut down.
it'll shut down because it has to shut down because that battery can't keep operating with that heat that's getting put on it. So that's a fail-safe in your newer phones, is the battery turns itself off so that it doesn't malfunction and start catching on fire. So yes, it has a play in it, but the majority of the time, if you're at room temperature, you're fine.
I've also noticed that some security cameras require lithium batteries. They will last longer.
Right.
They're a little bit pricier than a normal battery.
Yeah.
But they do last.
Yep. Like I said, the majority of the time they're completely safe. It's just following the right guidelines for them.
Do we have any other questions? Mr. Mack?
Thank you, Mr. President. So with these batteries, people have them in their house. They have them in, some houses probably have them in every room of the house.
Yeah.
As a firefighter, and we're talking to the public, do you have any recommendations on if each of my kids has a hoverboard? Those hoverboards, should they be charging in those bedrooms of those kids, or should we be keeping them somewhere else? What is your recommendation?
I would recommend you charge them. Most of them on the owner's manual, they're going to recommend you charge them in an area, a non-combustible area, your garage, on the cement floor.
So
the best place you could do it.
everyone's cell phones are everywhere. Everyone has these smaller batteries, so maybe some of these larger ones we should take a look at keeping them in the garage.
Yeah. And as I mentioned before, what the lady at the house on Hopkins Street did is exactly what we would recommend that anybody do. Do not put water on them. Do not try and take your fire extinguisher and use your own fire extinguisher on them. Get out of the house, call 911. We'll get there within less than 5 minutes anywhere in the city, and we'll take care of it for you.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate
Thank you
the
very
time.
much for being our guest.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nikki Warnke is also here, our city planner, for a final presentation of the Parks and Riverfront Plan. Good luck following that, Ms. Warnke.
Yeah. Now I need a song and dance. I am Nikki Warnke, the city planner. We are here for the final presentation of the Parks and Riverfront Master Plan. A couple of you have been to the public meetings and so on and so forth, but I'll turn it over to Nathan and Sydney and let them do the presentation and answer questions when you're done. Don't use the clicker at all. Go back at you.
Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, council.
Like Nikki said, this has been a little bit over a year-long process of working through this with the community to kind of understand what the vision is for the parks and for the riverfront within Defiance. It's been an exciting process. So tonight we'll kind of give a quick overview. We have a 500+ page document that a lot of you had the opportunity to look at. So we won't go through every single detail. We'll go through it pretty quickly and open it up for questions at the end, but kind of run through an overview of the project, walk through some renderings, and then also walk through some next steps. So you can go to the next one. So just a quick recap. I know we've been here before and talked about this, but just to kind of talk about the vision a little bit that really is guiding this whole plan from the beginning. And that's to develop a community-supported parks and riverfront master plan that can be successfully implemented through capital projects, programmatic strategies, and operations. Breaking that down into 4 of the main goals of this project, looking at number 1, promoting public health, safety, and social justice. Number 2, improving environmental quality and reducing flood risk, important with rivers being present. Number 3, developing vibrancy and placemaking along the river corridors. And then the 4th goal, looking at improving connectivity to and between the parks. So as I said earlier, this has been a really very impactful project for us, and also seeing the community support that we've received and the community feedback that's occurred in a lot of variety of ways, from 5 public surveys to 4 community events to multiple steering committee meetings and stakeholder meetings, and then also social media as well. So as you kind of add all of those up, looking at around 2,500 participants and a large, almost 125,000 views on Facebook. So which is always encouraging, but it's also encouraging just to see the commitment from a community who wants to provide that feedback, who wants to be involved in a master plan like this, which is very encouraging for us as designers. So as I said, we're going to focus mostly on the parks along the riverfront and kind of the heart of downtown area. But just to revisit, Bronson, Deal, and Reservoir were the 3 parks outside of the riverfront that were voted by the community in survey number 4 as being the top 3 parks that they would want to see improvements occur within. So the riverfront and then those 3 parks. Each of the parks in that survey received a approval rating of 4.2 or higher. So it's encouraging just from us to see the feedback that we've heard that we've been able to implement into these plans. The community is beginning to see those come into shape. And so I'll let Sydney walk you through a little bit more in detail of that riverfront plan, and then we'll talk about next steps from there.
Do you wanna see if this has a laser pointer that works though?
Has a mouse to it, but.
Oh, it doesn't show up.
Laser pointers don't work with those TVs anyway.
Alright, you go to the next slide. So as Nathan mentioned, last time we were here, we talked about survey number 4, which had those 2 riverfront concepts. The voting was very close on both of those, but we had a lot of comments that were like, I voted for concept 1, but I really liked this element in concept 2. So with this final one, we really wanted to have the best of both worlds. So as we walk through this, we'll go park by park, and we'll also have the results from survey number 5. So you'll see star ratings out of 5, and you'll also see the priority rankings from the community, just to see which projects they'd like to see first. So we'll start in Gateway Park. On the north side, we have an adventure boardwalk over the Maumee River, as well as a skate park. And then by the Clinton Street Bridge, an opportunity for a gateway as people drive into downtown. And then on the south side, we have a farmer's market pavilion, as well as some outdoor dining for that existing restaurant. We're also showing a new commercial building on the corner of the block, just to kind of, quarter that area. And then on the Maumee River, we've got a cove with a kayak launch, as well as a kiosk to rent those kayaks. And then we have a new walkway on the south side of the Clinton Street Bridge, similar to the one on the north. But in the survey, 74% of the respondees would engage more with the riverfront if there were more waterfront amenities available. So in this Gateway Park, we really wanted to address that and try and bring people closer to the rivers. And then this slide is a 3D rendering of that South Gateway Park. So you can see that farmer's market pavilion as well as that cove area with the kayak launch. And then you can see a bit of that walkway under the Clinton Street Bridge. And 80% of our survey takers were likely to visit this park based on this rendering. So next we'll go into Canal Park and Canal Corridor. So this is a pedestrian walkway, basically from the Maumee River down to 3rd Street between Perry and Clinton Streets. But it follows the historic placement of the canal with some pavers as well as outdoor seating, landscaping, shade, and lighting. And then in Canal Park itself at the end there, we are showing that eastern parking lot to be a food truck plaza. So it can still function as a parking lot, but just have the provisions for food trucks with some outdoor dining seating as well as some art installations. And this has a 3.9 average rating, and it was tied in last place and 6th place as far as priorities go. For Pontiac Metro Park, starting at the Clinton Street Bridge, we have the historical plaza with the existing fountain, which goes into a large open lawn, which could host those reenactments in the summertime. We have a wandering path along the Maumee River in that naturalized shoreline. And that comes to that ice ribbon. So ice skating was in the top 5 activities that the public would participate in if it was available. So we have that permanent ribbon with some warming huts as well as a shelter for rentals as well as storage. We have the event center right on the confluence with an overlook deck. And then just to the east, an upgraded boat launch. This concept has the 2-legged pedestrian bridge across the confluence. So starting in Pontiac Park, it would slope up to the roof of the event center and then cross the Maumee River into Fort Grounds and then eventually into Kingsbury. And this received a 4.1 average rating and is the 3rd park that the public would like to see happen. And then this view is if you're on the Purple Heart Bridge looking to the east, just showing a hint of what that pedestrian bridge over the confluence could look like from this point. So it's way in the background there, but you can also see the naturalized shoreline of Pontiac, as well as a bit of those boardwalk canopy trails that we'll talk about in Fort Grounds. So Fort Grounds received a 3.9 average rating and was tied in last place as far as priority. Starting at Clinton Street, we have that walkway under the bridge that eventually meets a boat docking area. And water activities were a top 3 priority in the public survey, so trying to address a few of those in Fort Grounds. We also have 2 treetop canopy boardwalks along the Maumee River. We are proposing new historical signage that's cohesive and accessible. And then we have an educational trail along the Ogley's River to tie into the library programming. Kingsbury was ranked number 1 as far as priorities go and has a 4.1 average rating. So right where the pedestrian bridge enters the park, there's a little plaza, and just to the right we have that large event center, or event lawn. Outdoor performance was the top activity that the survey takers wanted to see enhanced or supplemented in the existing park system. So providing a permanent home for that stage right on the confluence. It's in line with the existing baseball stadium and really maintains those views over the water. In the survey, a nature center was the top activity that the public would participate in if it was available. So on either side of the event lawn, we have some marsh wetland landscapes. And then just to the south of that pedestrian bridge where it lands in Kingsbury, we have a nature education center that overlooks the marsh area. The pickleball in the top right remains as it is today. We're just providing some more parking. To the right of the baseball diamond, we have a new mixed-use building, which leads into a large welcome plaza that ties the entrances of the pool, the baseball diamond, and that mixed-use building. Along 2nd Street, we have a much larger mixed-use development proposed. And between that and the existing pool is a network of walkways that connect to some botanical gardens, the existing shelter houses, as well as a kayak launch, a rental kiosk, and a boat docking area. And then we have a new playground by the pool, just to keep a lot of that active programming centralized in Kingsbury. And then to the right, we are taking advantage of the FEMA properties and having permeable parking as well as an entrance plaza. And that would be the remainder of Kingsbury. So this view here is taken from that mixed-use building that was to the right of the baseball diamond, looking over the confluence. And you can really see that relationship between the baseball diamond, the event lawn, as well as that welcome plaza, kind of centralizing the pool and the baseball diamond. And then this is our bird's eye view, so you can really see that pedestrian bridge and how that would interact with the confluence. You can see, the rest of Kingsbury in the background. You can see some of those mixed-use developments, both along 2nd Street and in Buckman. In Fort Grounds, you can see what those treetop canopy trails might look like, and that relationship in Pontiac, where the bridge goes over the roof of the event center. Buckman Park on the Glaze received a 3.9 average rating and is ranked 4th in priority. So starting at the corner of Glaze and 2nd Street, we have that mixed-use development, which leads into a looping walkway through a naturalized landscape. In the survey, park programs and events was one of the top 5 existing uses of people that participate in the park system here. So we just wanted to provide some more spaces for that with that Riverside Amphitheater, as well as a very large shelter house with restrooms. Kind of framing around that pavilion, we have some artwork honoring the native tribes that used to be in the area. And then on either side, we have 2 boardwalks that span across the 2nd and Hopkins Street bridges. And then this is a view from the Glaze River looking into Buckman. So we have that Riverside Amphitheater showing how that space could be activated. And then in the background, just seeing a peek of that pavilion. And 79, we'll call it, % of the survey respondents would be likely to visit this park. And lastly, we have Riverside Park. It received a 4.1 average rating and is ranked number 5 in priority. We maintained the existing restroom and pavilion building, but added a new basketball court and futsal court and a brand new playground. The sports fields would remain as they are today, but in the survey, 72% of existing users go to the parks for nature walks and wildlife viewing. So we put some formal walkways throughout that naturalized area, as well as some overlook decks over the Glaze River. There are 2 new shelter houses. One is in that forested area, and the other is just to the north, near a new kayak launch, as well as some parking for it. And that walkway continues to the north to Arabella Street, connecting back to downtown.
So again, as we went through this process, we really wanted this to be more than just a master plan, but also to be an action plan. So within the final report, you'll have a whole section that is purely devoted to just the action and just the implementation of how this can be moved forward. So we'll break it down and go through one example in Kingsbury, just so you have an understanding of kind of how that works, or anybody watching this can understand how that matrix works. So within that action plan, which is kind of the flexible roadmap. Again, this is a process of implementation over a year, so it's gonna have to be flexible and fluid. But it's gonna include specific items in there. So it's gonna start on the left-hand side, and we'll see an example here in a second, of that proposed action item. What is the action item within the park? So each of the 20 park areas are divided into action items. Then within that, we talked about the 4 goals at the very beginning. Those are highlighted at the bottom of the page there. So what goals are being met by that item? Some items may meet all goals, a lot of them may only meet 2 or 3 or even 1, but you can kind of see where it's fitting and aligning with those goals. Next to that, you can see who's the responsible party, who's kind of the champion that is really going to be the one pushing this forward and working towards that, doing whatever coordination or things may need to occur in the background to make the implementation of that item successful. Also with that, again, success comes with funding and partnerships. We all know that, and in a civic world, we know that those are very key items to success and implementation. So each line item has potential partners, potential funding, whether that be through financial investment or through time or through labor or services. So a wide range of opportunities there. Also, the recommended timeline. That recommended timeline is based on, as Cindy talked about in the surveys, we've asked people, when do you want to see these improvements? So we've kind of really tried to tailor it towards those responses. also in coordination with the steering committee with city staff of really trying to get those aligned and not just kind of a high level projection. And then what is that next step? So for this item, if I want to go down through that list, pick this item, I can go over to the far right hand side and I can see that's the next step that needs to be taken. And each of those is going to be quite different as you go throughout that entire plan. Here in the middle of this slide, you'll see the colors across there. So yellow items are in progress or already completed items. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. Items that are already in the works or already have been completed within the parks. Looking at the green, you're looking at quick wins. What are simple, low investment options that can really have a great impact and almost an immediate impact? The blue is simple but requires funding. So what are some simple projects but they require funding to move forward? And then purple being the major capital projects. So those are projects that may require a large amount of design or floodway permitting or other components to move forward. So we'll look at Kingsbury here as one example. So again, you see those top 4 items being the yellow. So those are items that have already been completed or in process since the beginning of this master plan. Looking at the first green one there, so you can see installs shade trees. So you can see in the comprehensive plan, it was called out as an action item as well. You can see the 3 dots there notifying which goals that item correlates with. You can see the responsible party is the Parks Division. You can also see some potential partnership opportunities and organizations listed there that can help in different ways. Time frame wise, we want to get trees in immediately, but it's also an ongoing task. So it's something that's not going to be able to be accomplished through every single park in the next 2 years, but it's something that's going to continually evolve and probably change over time from what the envision may be today based on improvements and different goals. So the next step, determine where those locations are. Which parks are we focusing on first? Then within that park, where's the best location based on the vision of the master plan, potential improvements? What's the most logical location for those trees? So you can see the section of green, you can see the section of blue for Kingsbury. If you go to the next slide, you'll see a little bit more blue and a little bit more of those capital improvements. So again, that's just Kingsbury and highlighting those. For every one of all the 20 some odd parks, you'll see this same thing. So if you go out to Bronson, you go to Eastside Park, each of them are all going to have that action plan there. So, of course, we all know projects and major capital improvements like this don't happen overnight. They take time, and dreams and improvements also require funding. That's undeniable. To accomplish this project to its full potential, as envisioned by the community throughout this project, would be $145 million. So that seems like a lot, but it also takes time. It also, as we highlighted in there, partnership is a key component of this. As we've done this, we've also estimated as if every project gets bid out. We also know Rob and his team are very resourceful with the finances they're given and are able to accomplish things at a much more economical rate than taking things out to bid on some of those projects, especially as we look at some of those quick win projects. As we look at just the highest priorities, so within each of those matrix, we didn't show the preliminary slide, but each park has an identified first task. So if you go to Eastside Park, you'll see here's the from the community input, here's where we think the first priority action should be. If you were to accomplish every single one of those within every single park within Defiance, that's roughly around $6 million to touch every single park and accomplish that first action item. But beyond just investing in the parks, that's a great opportunity for a community, but what else can that spur? Just within this plan, we're looking at $145 million going in. You can see on the top right, we anticipate that some of the mixed use developments that we've shown in this plans could equate to $45 million in private investment. So that would be separate, but that's roughly a 30% return if everything were to go in. That's not accounting for other things, other development projects, other businesses that may say, wow, I see the investments in the parks and quality of life in this town, I want to stay here. That's invaluable. to maintain those businesses. Talking about businesses as well, there's also job creation, right, of putting in major capital projects like this, of the jobs that creates, the economic input that happens to spur upon. And then also public health. I think over the last 5 years or so, parks have seen a large input and public knowledge about the public health that they provide. But higher quality parks correlate to a lower average percentages of poor mental health and physical activity. And that's been shown through a variety of different studies throughout the country. So we hit on funding sources and partners. Successful implementation is going to require partnerships with a variety of entities, which is nothing new for the city, nothing new for Parks Department. So we've listed here just a couple of key ones to highlight. Just kind of a concise list. Obviously, as you go through that matrix, you're going to see a lot more partnerships listed. So we hit on the accomplishments to date a little bit, but want to highlight on a couple items. So if you look at the attendance for the parks cleanup in 2024, 425 people. This year, 516 people. So an increase of almost 100 people, which is really encouraging. But it's also encouraging to us to see that people are getting behind the parks. People really see the value of the parks. 500 people showing up in a community is fantastic. That's an exciting part for us as a design team to see not only the responses on the community surveys, but to see the people wanting to come out and actually put their boots on the ground and help with the parks as well. So that's it, all done.
Timing.
Yeah, good timing.
Battery's
So,
dead.
a couple more slides. We'll go through them pretty quick though.
While we're getting everything turned on and rebooted, would you be open for any questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
Does council have any questions on what's been presented so far while we're getting back up and running? Mr. Oresti?
I have a final comment.
He does have a couple more.
I know. I've had a chance to attend some of the sessions, and I've had a chance to see what they've have to provide. And what I'd like to do is to propose a motion for a resolution of support for this master plan as written. And I believe we've all had a chance to see it. And in addition to be included in this resolution, that we include that each September prior to our budget review, that we review the master plan to see if any proposals can be included in the upcoming budget. I feel overall this shows our commitment to the committee for their hard work in putting together the master plan. So that's what I'd like to say, my motion for the resolution.
Okay, and all of council, you received a copy of the master plan for review leading up to this evening, I'm sure.
Well, what it'll do is, if this is approved today, then it'll come back to council for our formal review and vote.
Okay.
Second.
If we have a motion for this resolution.
I need a second.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Mr. Hancock?
Mr. Engel?
Yes.
I'm sorry, what?
Yes.
Mr. Corbett?
Yes.
Mr. Hancock?
Yes.
Mr. Rusty?
Yes.
Mr. Mass?
Yes.
Mr. Waxler?
No.
And Mrs. Crutch?
Yes.
Right, we have such a resolution. And we interrupted you.
You're good. You're good. So thank you for that, Mr. Oresti. And thank you to you as well and to many of the folks from council for attending throughout this process. I'll touch on that in a little bit as well, but just want to throw that out there. So as we talk about kind of going back to the accomplishments today, this is a short list of some of the things that have already been accomplished by the Parks Department throughout the process of this master plan. But the exciting thing is we've kind of left off the good stuff on this list. Early on in the process, we asked in one of the very first surveys, if you don't use the rivers, why not? The highest answer is 64% was I don't own a boat, kayak, or paddleboard, etc. So that was the response. As you go to the next slide, already you see the collaboration, you see the partnership coming in with Metro Parks for the kayak rental station in Pontiac Park. Now providing that 64% with an opportunity. There are some small barriers with that, but giving them the opportunity to now have access to the water. Talking about access to the water, a lot of that comes back to comfort. I know that's the same for me, that's the same for my own kids. Comfort with the water. With that, again, partnership collaboration with the Y at Kingsbury Pool this summer of having the swim lessons, successful swim lessons with multiple sessions and a lot of amount of attendees learning how to swim. Great opportunity and something that came directly from feedback through this process that really highlighted that component of just wanting to know how to swim and that fear and safety aspect. Also kind of alluding then to connectivity within the parks. Seeing a significant investment being made by the city in Veterans Memorial or Veterans Park at Laddies Grove with the sidewalk connectivity interior of the park. To see that, again, that connectivity, which being a primary goal, one of the 4 goals of this project, already being started to take shape and be active. You also saw this winter, the start of the temporary ice rink at Bronson Park. The great success with that, the community really enjoying that. But again, not wanting to settle back and go on that, just continuing to build on that. So looking at this winter, now shifting that to Bronson Park. So when you go to Bronson Park, you come in the gate, splash pads off to the right. There's restrooms, there's a building, concessions, all of that to the right. There's a fenced-in enclosure on the left is a large concrete pad. Oddly enough, that concrete pad years ago, somebody was really planning because it's about the exact size of that ice rink. So for this winter, looking at having the ice rink located in Bronson Park, where all the facilities that are needed with some small improvements are right there, ready to really take that then to kind of the next level and be able to provide restrooms right there within walking distance. If I'm taking my kids, they don't have to leave the fence, they can go to the restroom. So kind of building upon that success and really taking it to the next level. And as City noted, that was a top 5 activity, desired throughout the community. So not waiting for that capital improvement purple project, but doing that right away, quick win. So it's super exciting to see. And with that, we thank you for your time. We thank you to those that were a part of this process, for everybody reading the massive document that's been built by the community. Also, a thank you to a lot of the familiar faces we see out here that have been with us through the process and took the time to come tonight to really show their support. But I think the future of Defiance is very bright. There are not many communities that can say that they have the infrastructure that you have when it comes to parks. How many communities can say they have a confluence located directly adjacent to their downtown, much less 3 rivers located next to their downtown? Also, add on top of that, parks property owned by the city or Metro Parks for anywhere from a quarter mile to a mile on both sides of the river in all directions of the confluence. Add on top of that a great park staff, a great city staff that are really dedicated to this and want to see things move forward. In the early process, we walked every single park, walked them on the ground. There are not many parks, I don't know that I can name any that from top to bottom have the level of quality and maintenance and just upkeep throughout the entire system. You may see that in one park in a key area, but not across the board. So I think you have a lot of great things that are already in place, and just continuing to build upon that and build upon that will just create a very bright future for the parks and Defiance. So with that, I thank you, and we'll open it up for further questions as well.
Do we have any comments or questions from council? Mrs. Crutch.
I just want to thank you for your time and effort that you put into. I think it was wonderful that you guys didn't just look at each individual park, but you walked all the parks. You walked along the river of Riverside behind the cemetery, and I think it was just great. So thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any comments from our guests? Reverend Plan.
Dave Plant, 321 Maywood, here in Defiance. And as he said what I was just going to say in terms of the quality of all the parks. I'm trying to remember how long ago was when I first sat on council. Been at least 10 years, maybe a little longer. And to be quite honest, there were at least 3 businesses that looked at our town at that time. And we had conversations around that. And each time we started to get close to the person who owned the business, saying yes to coming to Defiance. But when they got to Defiance, they finally said, well, I need to bring in my spouse. And their spouse came to town and said, you're out of your mind. There's no amenities. The parks are at best average, maybe below average. And they went on to a variety of things that have been part of our chronic issues over the years. But it was an indictment upon us. Today, you heard, the public heard, who's mostly the one I'm speaking to now, these parks are wonderful. I've had the chance in retirement to do more traveling, and due to my wife who says we're gonna go out and walk, I visit a lot of different parks now, a lot of different places. And folks, we've got great places that live up to the name of Great Place to Live, but they can be better. And so just as a word that all of you know this, it'll never be cheaper than it is today. 145 million sounds like a lot of money. 10 years from now, that will probably be $350 million, $400 million. If you don't do it today, it's gonna cost you more tomorrow. We know that with sidewalks, and I won't get into my annual speech about sidewalks. We know that about some of the other projects that we do, and I won't get into my annual speech about those. But the reality is, parks are a great investment. My life is now in Defiance for its remainder. I've got 2 grandkids and looking forward to taking them to parks when they pay attention to my voice to come, because I can't chase after them. The reality is great things. And I will remind you, there was an article in the Crescent News about my 3rd year on council. I don't know how long ago that was. That said, the development of every city is dependent upon what you do with the waterway if you have one. If you don't develop the waterway, your city will not thrive. They pointed out Cincinnati, and I remember pointing out a town in Naperville, Illinois, that eventually went to 175,000 people, but they talk about their turnaround when they started at 10 as owing to the fact that they took this little bitty stretch of nothing creek and they developed it on both sides where people could come and they could be together and they could sip a cup of coffee, whatever it might be. Now, we're not going to have 175,000 people. That town was a different story. But it just goes to prove the point. Water is a critical asset that we can sell to businesses, but it's also an asset that we can sell to the families that makes this a great place to live. So I want to affirm that, and I hope you remember, it's never going to be cheaper than it is today. Thank you.
Thank you. Did we have any other citizens' comments? All right. With that, thank you for being our guests and thank you for the presentation. As we move on, I did review the index minutes for our city council meeting of August 12th, 2025. Do we have a motion to correct or amend these index minutes as presented? Without any such motion, I'll endorse them. Do we have any liaison meeting requests or reports? And do we have any comments from council? Mr. Mast.
Just wondered if we could get an update, since we're talking about parks, regarding the Veterans Memorial Park and the status, and maybe an ETA on when that may, if ever, be finished. Seems to be going on quite a lengthy time.
We know.
I assume you did.
Is it, Linda had a meeting scheduled with Joe and Joe.
It was last week.
Okay, I don't know the results of that meeting though.
The results of the meeting was they're going to be working hard to meet their timeline, which I believe is towards the end of the month or
They're
next.
supposed to be pouring concrete at the end of this week,
So,
The end of the week,
yeah.
starting Thursday.
it's supposed to rain Thursday.
Yes.
Wednesday night.
Wednesday night,
Mhm.
yeah.
So that was the last status update we got. I can get you some more information the next council.
As long as it's on your radar, because like I said, it's been a bit of a drawn out process.
It
This
has
park's been a little bit of a mess.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Mrs. Crutch?
Yeah, I had a gentleman ask me about recreational tree climbing. This person, has gone to other metro parks and other parks around the state of Ohio that actually does tree climbing. And was looking at the trees at Leidy's Grove area, and they only go up about 20 feet, but he was wondering if that's something that they could possibly do here in the city of Defiance. I know there's an international tree climbing.
I wish the
in
law
Central-
director was here.
There's a liability
I know.
issue here.
I think if we could just maybe postpone that answer.
Okay.
I was thinking about, Mr. Uresti, your request for a resolution, and thank you for that. And kind of running a calendar through my head, Mr. O'Donnell's gonna be out most of the week. Obviously, we have a meeting next week and then we're off. It may be that fourth week in September before we see that resolution. I'm sorry, he may be able to get it done. There was some discussion about even having it ready for tonight, so he may be further along on that than I thought. But that's a question that
I figured I had
I'd
the
like to
confirmation.
defer to him.
And you know, this person has the equipment, has the, everything that you would need, and is part of the group of international tree climbers, but I happened to be at Leidy's Grove and I was with him and he's going, yeah, that's a good tree right there and I could climb that, and it's about 20 feet we go up, and I'm like, I don't know.
So was this gentleman just asking to climb a tree?
Yes.
Or actually, you said equipment?
Well, he has the regular equipment that you use to try to climb the tree, and he says they go up about 20 feet and then they come back down. And it's, I guess it's just a
Spikes and things
practice.
like that?
Lumberjack?
No, and it's not anything
Okay.
that would hurt the trees,
Okay,
nothing that would go into the trees. No,
okay.
I know.
I'm just trying to clarify so that
Well,
we can
he
come up
asked
with a
me,
better
he said
answer for you.
if you wanted to, he would come and show what he does. I said, okay, but maybe I'll have you, Ryan, go with him and you could check it
The
out.
issue with allowing one person to climb a tree and then everybody thinks
know.
they can do it.
Luckily, this person lives on some land that has trees that he does that, but he really admired the trees at Leidy's Grove.
They are beautiful trees.
I know.
Thank you to our Parks Department, that does a wonderful job maintaining.
Yes. So, okay. I asked the question, I told him I would.
Thank you. Mr. Corbett?
You know, I just wanna take a minute and thank, Nikki and the steering committee for all the hard work they did, and I know that Nikki's got lots of work coming, cause there's plenty of grant funds we need to go after. We appreciate the effort she put in, so thank you.
Well said. Do we have any other comments from council? On my desk, there is one red letter exclamation mark item, and that would be, happy birthday, Lisa Elder. Swiss Army knife, you're always reliable in there, and you are super helpful and on top of it, so thank you. And happy 29th birthday.
Sure. I'll go with that. Thank you.
Real quick, Mr. McMaster, President, it is also Zeke Tracy's birthday, who is our new DDVD person that's gonna be starting soon, so.
Happy
Happy
birthday.
birthday,
to
Zeke.
Zeke also.
Happy birthday. Great day.
If you do say so.
Yeah, I do.
Mayor McKinn.
I have nothing, sir.
Mr. Mack.
I have nothing at this time, Mr. President.
And Mr. O'Donnell is not here. And Ms. Sprague.
I do not have anything either. Great.
Wow. But we do have 4 items of legislation for discussion this evening. Would you read the caption for the first?
First reading by caption only, an ordinance directing the city administrator to apply for a grant from the Ohio Public Works Commission to assist with the replacement of water lines along Wayne Avenue and declare an emergency.
Mr. Mack.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. The city anticipates replacing the water lines along Wayne Avenue from the intersection of East Second Street to Downs in project year 27. The city is eligible for $400,000 in OPWC grant funding to support this project. Just the water line itself, not counting any repaving that would obviously want to go along with this, but it's a $1.8 million project. So this would be a big step in trying to get that to that goal of getting the money to get that water line taken care of. So what we ask from council is your permission to apply for grant funding.
Mr. Oresti.
No questions, motion to suspend and call.
You have a motion to suspend and call?
I had a quick question.
Sure, quick question.
The 1.8, is that just a total for the water line replacement?
Correct.
Is 400 all we can go for, is there more?
For OPWC, yes, but obviously Melinda and Nikki will be working to secure any grants possible to get us to that magic number.
Second. So we have a second. Mr. Mast.
Mr. Corbett?
Yes.
Mr. Hancock?
Yes.
Mr. Rusty?
Yes.
Mr. Mass?
Yes.
Mr. Waxler?
Yes.
Mrs. Crutch?
Yes.
And Mr. Engel?
Yes.
Right.
Motion down.
Motion to adopt, Mr. Engel.
Second.
Second, Mr. Mast.
Mr. Hancock?
Yes.
Mr. Rusty?
Yes.
Mr. Mass?
Yes.
Mr. Waxler?
Yes.
Mrs. Crutch?
Yes.
Mr. Engel?
Yes.
And Mr. Corbett?
Yes.
All right. With that, this ordinance is adopted.
First reading by caption only, an ordinance authorizing the law director to enter into a settlement agreement with the 8 pharmaceutical manufacturers and declare an emergency.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of council. This ordinance authorizes our law director to enter into an agreement with 8 different pharmaceutical companies, most of which I've never heard of, to be honest with you. This is all part of the opioid settlements that we've been working with for some time now. This isn't the first time you've seen an ordinance like this. And at this point, as these funds have been coming into us, we have to use them for opioid purposes and all of that. So we've been shifting that money over to the main unit, and that's the intention this time as well. We know it'll be more than 500, but we don't know how much.
Mr. Waxler.
No further questions, motion to suspend and call.
You have a motion to suspend and call?
Second.
Second, Mr. Corbett.
Mr. Rusty?
Yes.
Mr. Mass?
Yes.
Mr. Waxler?
Yes.
Mrs. Crutch?
Yes.
Mr. Engel?
Yes.
Mr. Corbett?
Yes.
And Mr. Hancock?
Motion
Yes.
to adopt.
We have a motion to adopt, Mrs. Crutch.
Second.
Second, Mr. Mast.
Mr. Mass?
Yes.
Mr. Waxler?
Yes.
Mrs. Crutch?
Yes.
Mr. Engel?
Yes.
Mr. Corbett?
Yes.
Mr. Hancock?
Yes.
Mr. Rusty?
Yes.
All right. With that, this ordinance is adopted.
First reading by caption only, an ordinance authorizing a contract to construct improvements for the wastewater treatment plant and declare an emergency.
Mr. Mack.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. If council remembers correctly, when I first began this job as city administrator, one of the first things that I brought to you was our IWIP, or hopefully final consent order with the EPA for our water pollution control facilities. There's a long-term plan of projects we were going to need to do to, in some ways, remediate some of our CSO issues. The very first of the large-scale projects is in that we're in that time window for it. We've bid it out. We've come back with a contractor that we believe will do a great job on it. Total project cost $5.7 million. It's going to be a lot of work at the plant for this first round of stuff. Some new screening that'll get us to a finer bit. It'll help protect the equipment inside of our plant. Septic receiving, so that people that are pumping septic tanks out in the county have a place to come bring that septic in. We'll also be able to store it so that we don't have to dump it into our system all at once and disrupt the flow of the facility. Some big projects, some expensive projects, but obviously with it being part of our IWIP, I wanted to bring our superintendent for water pollution control, Mark Leonard, here in case you have any questions about a project of that scale.
Mr. Waxler?
No third question, most spending call.
If we have no other questions.
Second.
Second, Mr. Mast?
Mr. Waxler?
Yes.
Mrs. Crutch?
Yes.
Mr. Ingo?
Yes.
Mr. Corbett?
Yes.
Mr. Hancock?
Yes.
Mr. Rusty?
Yes.
Mr. Mass?
Yes. Motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt, Mr. Mast?
Second.
Second, Mr. Waxler?
Mrs. Crutch?
Yes.
Mr. Ingo?
Yes.
Mr. Corbett?
Yes.
Mr. Hancock?
Yes.
Mr. Rusty?
Yes.
Mr. Mass?
Yes.
And Mr. Waxler?
Yes.
With that, this ordinance is also adopted. And lastly,
First reading by caption only, an ordinance authorizing the municipality to enter into an agreement for collection of unpaid and overdue income taxes with the Ohio Attorney General and declaring emergency.
Ms. Sprague?
Yes, in the past, I guess credit adjustments collected on charged off income tax, which credit adjustments is no longer in operation. So Lori did some checking with the Ohio Attorney General's office, and we're going to be turning over any collections from 2015 to 2024 to their office to go after those charged off income tax accounts. They upcharge, so for example, if someone owes $100, they charge $110, they keep the 10 and send us the 100. They can go off state tax refunds and any gambling winnings. So, and I do not have a total. She's been out and I was out and didn't get to connect with her, but I will get an update on the total dollars we have that we're sending to them, just so we have an idea. I can follow back up next week with that.
Excellent. Question, Mr. Hancock?
Yeah, with credit adjustments previously, was there any upfront fees?
I don't have
establish
that
them?
information. That was before
Are you able to get that
worked.
information?
I can check into that,
And
yes.
also, how much was collected when credit adjustments was
I
here?
would have to get that information too.
And I believe that there may have been like a 5% upcharge at the time.
There could be. I know just in a previous job I had that when I worked at Midwest, we turned things over to collection agencies and they did charge a percent. It's just how the agency handles it, but I can get that information.
And with that, previous with credit adjustments, there had been some concern about personal data exposure on those. Is there anything protected?
It's the state of Ohio, so it's probably the best of the best.
Okay.
I mean, it's the state. I mean,
Just curious, because there
Yeah.
are some that
No,
have been shared.
Yep. Yeah, I get that.
Could
But
be out there, and
Yep.
next thing you know,
it's
AI's
the Attorney
got it.
General's office, so it better be locked down. I'm sure it is.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Do we have any other questions for Ms. Sprague?
No further questions. Motion to suspend call.
If there's no further questions, we have motion to suspend and call. Second, Mr. Corbett?
Mr. Ingo?
Yes.
Mr. Corbett?
Yes.
Mr. Hancock?
Yes.
Mr. Rusty?
Yes.
Mr. Mass?
Yes.
Mr. Waxler?
Yes.
And Mrs. Crutch?
Yes.
Motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt, Mr. Corbett? Second, Mr. Waxler?
Mr. Hancock?
Yes.
Mr. Rusty?
Yes.
Mr. Mass?
Yes.
Mr. Waxler?
Yes.
Mrs. Crutch?
Yes.
Mr. Ingo?
Yes.
And Mr. Corbett?
Yes.
With that, this final ordinance is also adopted. Before we adjourn for this evening, did we have any citizens' concerns or questions? Reverend Plant?
Reminding 5 minutes.
Oh, never mind in 5 minutes.
Dave Plant, 321 Maywood, and for those of you who don't know where that is, it's on the north side, almost close to the golf course. I didn't look around the room to see how many were older than me, not a lot of you. But the challenge I bring before you again, to go way back in history, I think it was my second or third council meeting, and we were talking about quality of life in Defiance, and I used the phrase light pollution, saying we're a rural community and we should be able to see the stars at night even living in the city. And that's always a challenge, right? It's always a challenge. But at 75 years of age, I'm finding it more and more difficult to be able to drive around town and see anything. Not because my eyes are that bad, my Optometrist says insurance ain't ready to pay for it yet, so it's not that bad. And, but the bottom line is the way safety lighting is happening now. Between the compound out at the golf course, which has an enormous amount of light now coming towards the road, the John Mansville plant, which has at least put up 20 new safety lights since I've lived there. The UPS station, which illumines the complete 5 acres across the road from it with safety lights. You literally are creating an unsafe environment. I was gonna bring a show and tell about what happens, and again, for those of you who have kids and your kid's playing with a flashlight, and it wasn't that fun, and then they lift it up and show it in your eye. Well, the illumination that's coming off of these new LED fixtures for security purposes is actually creating a whole number of dark back spaces. Any teacher knows if you want the class to not pay any attention to you, stand in front of the window. Why? Because they can't see your face. They could see my bald head, but they couldn't see my face. And this is sort of what that's like. You're driving. I used to be able to count the deer that were in the field coming down Stadium Road. And yes, I could tell what was going on at the UPS building and the trucks, and I could safely see the outlines. I'd love to go tell the UPS people right now that I know how to get into their building and stay behind the trucks and stay in the shadows because their security lighting is so bright, it creates a lot of dark spaces. Any of you ever see the old concentration camp movies where they're trying to get out? Or the old war movies, how they stayed in the shadows? That's that very kind of effect. On the north side, we used to ask a lot for down lighting. Even when we bought the new lighting downtown here in the city, it had special refractory kind of combination, so most of the light went down instead of up and against the building. And I'd like you to think about that, because it creates danger. And it means people like me are less likely to go out at night, and less likely to spend money therefore when we go out, because it creates danger. We have a fairly elderly population, and yet that doesn't mean we aren't active and we don't have resources to share. I don't know who checks on that, and who checks on whether or not the lighting actually meets code or whether we have code that addresses that. But if you go to Defiance College, where my wife worked for 20 years and I worked for some, all the campus lighting is straight down lighting. You get to see plenty. You know where you're walking, you know if anybody's behind the bushes, because it's all going straight down, not creating shadows. And I'd like you to think about that, because some of the big businesses, Lowe's, lighting is all straight down.
Just a reminder, you have a minute left.
So I just would like to bring that up. I don't know where that belongs or who it belongs, but since I'm a preacher and there was the opportunity, I thought I'd get up and preach yet a little bit more. So God bless you all for your work. And I was derelict in not thanking God for all the work on the Parks Department. That man's been a yeoman for all the years that I've known him and all the great things that have been done, besides all of yourselves. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Did we have any other citizens' concerns before we adjourn? All right, do we have a motion to adjourn this evening? Mr. Waxler? Second, Mr. Mast. All those in favor of adjourning for this evening, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?